What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Richie's Picks. I'm Richie Rax. I got everything you need to succeed in your weekly fantasy tournaments. Now, we already covered quarterbacks and running backs for week 2. It's Friday morning. A crazy Thursday night game on last night between Broncos and Chiefs. If you're a Broncos fan, you got to be pretty happy. If you're a Chiefs fan, not so much. Sorry, guys. But that's out of the way. If you didn't see my quarterbacks and my running backs, go check out my 2 previous videos. I got everything you need there. Those are both covered. So now we're going to get into the wide receiver position. On Draftkings, you draft 3 wide receivers. Obviously, wide receivers get the most targets in the passing game, so they're going to be the most valuable position, and they're also going to cost you the most. So what we're trying to do is find some value out of those wide receivers that have a low price tag on them right now so we can pair them up with some big names, right? So starting off that list, I'm going to kick it off with Brandon Coleman from the New Orleans Saints, okay? He's going for $3,300 on DraftKings. He had 7 targets. He hauled in 4 of those for 41 yards, and he had a 12-yard touchdown reception, okay? He's a big target. He's filling in that void for Jimmy Graham. And this week they're playing in the Superdome against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got shredded up by Marcus Mariota. And now Drew Brees is getting his shot at them. They're coming off a loss, and they're playing in the Superdome. I like Brandon Coleman at $3,300 if you want to roll the dice and leave yourself a little bit of money on the table to play with and spend on a big name. Brandon Coleman had 14 points last week. He's the number 3 option behind Brandon Cooks and Marcus Colson. I like both of them too, but if we're talking strictly for value here as maybe your flex option, you got $3,300 left to spend and you want to roll the dice on somebody, I like Brandon Coleman. Working our way up, Terrence Williams, Dallas Cowboys playing at Philly, $4,200 for Terrence Williams. Okay, he had 8 targets last week. He caught 5, 60 yards, 11 points, no touchdown. But even bigger this week, no Dez, okay? All those targets got to go somewhere. They're going to get split up. I think Jason Witten is going to get most of them. But right after Witten, it's going to be Terrence Williams, and he is the deep ball threat on the team now, okay? He's going to have to fill in for Dev. Those are big shoes to fill. Is he going to be able to put up Dez numbers? Maybe, honestly. If you remember back some years, the Cowboys have a history of taking these wide receivers that nobody knows about and kind of putting them in a prominent role, something like a Miles Austin. If you started him, 4 or 5 years ago, he had a monster game, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, something like that. Terrence Williams, I like. And at that same token, for all those same reasons, Cole Beasley at $3,300 if you want to roll the dice on him. He had 6 targets last week. That's another play I like against Philly. But yeah, Terrence Williams for $4,200. No Dez. All right. Dante Moncrief, $4,600. Indy. They're playing at home. They're going against the Jets. He had 11 targets last week. This was with T.Y. Hilton. Okay, now T.Y. Hilton's a game-time decision, but he had 46 yards last week, a touchdown against the Bills. He got you 16.6 points. Again, with that same stride of these number 1 receivers going down. Even if T.Y. does play, you got to imagine that they're not just going to just run him into the dirt, They're going to want to be a little bit tentative with their number 1 option. So, it wouldn't shock me to see Dante Moncrief get a lot more targets, especially since T.Y. Hilton, if he does play, he's going to draw the attention away from him. And then if he doesn't play, those targets got to go somewhere. I like Dante Moncrief at $4,600. All right. How about this target monster right here? Jarvis Landry, $5,900. Miami's going against Jacksonville. Okay. That's all you really need to know right there. But he's a dual threat. He's returning punts and and kickoff returns. He actually had 74 yards returning, and a touchdown. So he got you 20 points last week if you started him. I started him in a bunch of my leagues. Got lucky with the punt return for a touchdown. But he had 12 targets besides that. He only had 53 yards, 8 receptions for 53 yards on those 12 targets. But this is a pass-heavy attack. Obviously, they have all these wide receivers, and it seems like he's the focal point of the pass game. So Jarvis Landry, absolute target monster. If you're going to get 12 targets a game at $5,900, I'll take you all day, especially if you're going up against the Jacksonville defense. Jarvis Landry is a money pick this week again. Brandon Cooks, 7,000 for all the same reasons I said about Brandon Coleman. New Orleans at home. They're going against Tampa Bay. Nothing leads me to believe that they're not going to get, picked apart by Drew Brees. He had 8 targets last week for 49 yards. A bit of a disappointment if you were expecting a big game out of him, but I'm looking for a bounce back game here from Brandon Cooks, 7,000. You might be able to just start all Saints this week, honestly, in a lineup. I wouldn't actually object to that. And especially if you're playing volume, if you like to play more than one lineup, I like to play a bunch of different lineups. I'll talk more about playing volume in another segment actually, but I wouldn't be totally against just starting a lineup that has almost all New Orleans Saints this week. All right, Jordan Matthews is another one I like, 7,100. He's the number one option in Philly. He had 13 targets for 102 yards, no touchdown. He got you 23 points. That's without a touchdown. That was against Atlanta. He's going up against Dallas this week. They're playing at home at Philly. Just to put it in perspective, the second highest total of targets for receivers on that team was 4 targets. That was for Riley Cooper. Okay, so 13-4. It's a big disparity there. Darren Sproles, I think, did have like 9 targets. So they do like to pass the ball through the running game. But you can go check out my running back segment if you want to hear a little bit more about that. Dallas corners allowed 190 yards to Giants in a kind of wacky game that neither team really had the offense clicking. It was a crazy one, and I'm expecting Philly to have a little bit better game than the Giants were able to muster up against them. So Jordan Matthews I like this week, and now here we go with this absolute. This is a real target monster. Okay, I think I threw that term around too much earlier, but Keenan Allen, 7,100, man, he had 17 targets last week. San Diego's playing at Cincinnati. Get down, Keefe. All right, he had 15 receptions for 166 yards. All right, he got you 34 points. That's without a touchdown, okay? I don't think he's going to not score a touchdown every week. I think he's actually more likely to score a touchdown every week. It wouldn't shock me if he has 12 touchdowns or more this season. He's the definitive number one option in that team. It's a pass-heavy attack. Again, I love these pass-heavy attacks. Their running backs, even Danny Woodhead, they like to pass the ball to him. Melvin Gordon is a rookie, so don't expect them to just start, just pounding the rock every play. They're going to keep passing the ball, and Keenan Allen is going to get the majority of those targets, okay, at $7,100. I love Keenan Allen, all right? And then after that, there's a bunch of receivers that, cost $8,000 or more on Draftkings. All those guys are primed to go off at any time, but it's kind of like a coin toss from there on out. I like Julio Jones. I like Odell Beckham. Both of them going up against, pretty shady secondaries in the Giants and the Falcons. But what we try to do is get the best value from some of these lower end players and mix and match so we can flip the coin and get one of those big picks up top, and hopefully they go off for you. But man, those are the picks I like this week. Stay tuned. If this helped you, go ahead, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'm going to be doing this every single week, guys. This is week 2. I got tight ends coming up for you here in a little bit, so stay tuned, and I'll be back with that. As always, this is Richie's Picks. I'm Richie Rex. Let's bring that money home, baby.